Today's presentation is a crucial business deal for us. We're going all out to win the contract, except one useless baggage carrier. The manager turns his back on me and motivates my colleagues. When I try to talk about the presentation materials, I'm completely ignored. My colleagues who are with me avoid making eye contact with me. Their blatant attitude leaves me not just angry, but exasperated. Even if I go along to the presentation, I won't be allowed to say a word. If I can't be involved in the presentation, there's no point in being here. Understood? I'll return to the office. I'll leave the materials here, so please take care of them. I said this out of courtesy, but as expected, there was no response. Whatever happens after this, I don't care. Speaking silently to the manager's back, I turned on my heel and quickly left the place. My name is David Jones. I work in the sales department of a major construction company. My family runs a small machine shop in a downtown area. I originally intended to take over the family business, but my father told me, "We can't afford new equipment during this recession, so I can't pass it on to you." With my family's financial situation, I gave up on going to college, but I had a passion for manufacturing, so I went to a local technical high school. After graduating, I got a job at a local contractor and, after various twists and turns, ended up being hired mid-career at my current company. Even at the contractor, I worked in sales and learned how to handle clients and sites well, so I've been able to communicate effectively with my current colleagues and clients. However, I haven't been able to get along with my direct supervisor, James Collins. James is an employee who joined the company straight out of college and has been in sales for 20 years. He's a capable person with a strong track record, but he blatantly favors employees with high academic credentials and those who joined the company straight out of college. Are you David? Hired despite only having a high school diploma and work experience at a local contractor? That was his first comment. I was taken aback by his completely different attitude compared to the HR and other managers I'd met so far. I don't think someone like you can handle it at our company. Just try not to drag us down. Sure. Nice to meet you. James, who seemed uninterested in me, snorted and waved his right hand as if shooing away a dog. Once the introductions are over, get lost. I'm busy. As a high school graduate hired mid-career, I realized early on that I had all the qualities James despised. Even when I achieved results at work, he made snide remarks or assigned me menial tasks, never treating me well. But I have things I want to accomplish at this company. To achieve my dream, I can't be bothered with James' sarcasm now. One day, I received a call from Mr. Smith, the CEO of a company I had worked with before. "David, it's been a while." "Mr. Smith, it's been a while. What's going on?" "Actually, I have a favor to ask, so I called." "Yes, please feel free to ask me anything. That's kind of you." "Actually, there's a problem with our company." "A problem with your company?" "Yes. It's been about 30 years since we built it. It's time to think about doing something. Yes, at that age, it's definitely time to take some measures. So, after much consideration, I thought we might as well rebuild it. It's worrisome if we don't address it from the ground up. So, I'm thinking of asking your company to handle the construction. Is that true?" "Yes, of course, we'll reach out to other companies as well, but we'd really like your company to be involved." Mr. Smith's office building was large, and it was a project that could generate significant profits. "Thank you very much. We look forward to working with you." I appreciated him over the phone and ended the call. James, noticing my excitement, asked what was going on. "That project. It could generate a profit of $10 million. No, $16 million. James' excited tone quickly spread the excitement among the other employees. "We can't waste any time. We'll bring this project up at the next executive meeting. In our company, large deals must be discussed at the executive meeting, where they review proposals and estimates before proceeding. The next executive meeting was in the middle of next month, just 2 weeks away. If we don't bring this up quickly, we'll lose the project. David, you need to prepare all the presentation materials by the meeting." "All of it?" "You brought in the project. Take responsibility and get it done." With that, James hurriedly stood up. "I'll talk to the bosses to ensure the executive meeting goes smoothly." I felt a bit annoyed by his attitude of dumping all the work on me, but I found it motivating to be entrusted with such an important task to secure the project. From that day, I started coordinating with various departments to create the presentation materials. The short deadline was tough, but thanks to smooth interactions with the departments, I managed to finish the materials just in time for the day before the executive meeting. Though, after working late nights for days on end, I was utterly exhausted. "James, the presentation materials are ready. Let me see." He took the materials I handed over and silently went through them. "Not bad. All right, I'll present this at tomorrow's executive meeting. Thank you." As a regular employee, I wasn't allowed to attend the executive meeting, so I had to leave it to James. I felt a sense of relief that my hard work from all the overtime had paid off. The next day, the executive meeting took place, and the project was approved, moving forward officially. However, there was a problem. "James, what is this about?" The return proposal had my content, but the name of the project initiator was replaced with James's. All my work had been credited to him. It looked as if he had secured the project and created the materials. Only someone like me, with a long tenure here, could land such a big deal. Not a high school grad who joined mid-career, but it was me who brought in this project. You don't get it, do you? Someone with your low education and short tenure doesn't have any credibility. If the bosses knew it was you, they might hesitate and take longer to approve it. After a theatrical sigh, James continued in a condescending tone, as if explaining to a child. "That's why it makes sense for someone like me, with a top-tier university degree and 20 years at the company, to be seen as the one who landed the deal. It ensures smooth approval from the bosses. We can't afford to lose such a big project, right?" James raised his voice, seeking agreement from those around us. "You do have a longer relationship with the bosses, James. That's one way to look at it." My colleagues, while not outright agreeing, showed no sign of opposing him, leaving me without any allies. But I was the one who made the materials. At least that should be acknowledged. "Stop whining. I'll include you in the presentation team, so be satisfied with that. Honestly, thinking you could handle such a big deal shows you don't know your place." James dismissed me with a wave of his hand, as if shooing me away. Understood. I had no choice but to back down, feeling incredibly frustrated. Then came the day of the presentation. I carried the materials and went with James and two other colleagues to the client's office. The building showed its age, confirming what Mr. Smith had said about it being 30 years old. "James, about the seismic and vibration control measures. Recently, there had been a significant earthquake, causing damage to many buildings. Emphasizing our earthquake-proof measures could be a strong selling point. While the presentation materials certainly included those points, there were some technical details that weren't in the materials but were in the proposal. I had my issues with James, but that had nothing to do with securing the project. I thought I should do everything I could to help win the contract. The fourth slide of the presentation, I began to say, pulling out the materials, but I noticed that James wasn't even looking in my direction. He was only paying attention to my colleagues, completely ignoring my voice. "James?" I raised my voice, but he continued to act as if he couldn't hear me. My colleagues also avoided making eye contact with me. "Today's presentation is a crucial business deal for us. We're going all out to win the contract, except the high school grad, the useless baggage carriers." James turned his back on me and motivated my colleagues. His blatant words left me not just angry, but exasperated. Even if I went along to the presentation, I realized I wouldn't be allowed to say a word. I was so exasperated that my mind became calm and clear. If I couldn't be involved in the presentation, there was no point in staying here. "Understood. I'll return to the office. I'll leave the materials here, so please take care of them." I said this out of courtesy, but as expected, there was no response. I turned on my heel and quickly left the client's office. It was when I was riding the subway back to the company. Huh? My phone, which was on silent mode, was vibrating. I checked my phone and saw that it was a call from James. I wondered what he could possibly want now, but I couldn't take the call on the train, so I decided to get off at the next station. Before the train arrived at the station, the call ended and immediately started vibrating again. It seemed he was hanging up and redialing as soon as it switched to voicemail. He must have been in a real panic, but it had only been about 20 minutes since we parted ways. I couldn't fathom why he was so desperate, considering how confident he had been about handling the presentation. As I stared at the continuously vibrating phone, I finally reached the next station and answered the call. "Where are you?" "I'm at a subway station. I'm on my way back to the office. Get back here immediately." "I thought you said I wasn't needed for the presentation?" He had dismissed me as useless baggage carrier, so what could he possibly want now? "The client is furious and threatening to cancel the whole deal if you're not here. Get back here now." He must have been speaking quietly because the client was nearby, but his voice was strained and urgent, leaving me no choice but to sigh in resignation. "All right, I can be back in about 30 minutes. Hurry up." I ended the call, listening to his insistent voice, and headed to the opposite platform to catch the next train back. David. Upon returning to the client's office, I was greeted by Mr. Smith with a broad smile as he led me to his office. Despite being more than a decade older, he always called me David with a friendly way. At first, I felt embarrassed, but after he refused to change his WASI, I appreciated his kindness. "It's been a while." "Yes, it really has." "How have you been?" "Fine, thanks to you. I heard you moved to a new company, so I wanted to entrust this project to you again." "I'm counting on you." "Thank you very much." I expresses my gratitude for Mr. Smith's trust. Seeing Ms. Smith's mood improve, James reluctantly stepped in. "Well, isn't there some mistake here? This man is just a high school graduate and a mid-career hire. He doesn't have the capability to handle such a large project." He made sure to belittle me and then, while spitting as he spoke, pointed to the presentation materials. "I am an experienced employee with a degree from a top university. I created these materials, and someone like him is not needed." James was desperately trying to defend himself when Mr. Smith gave him a cold look. "Oh, if you say so, let's hear your presentation. Leave it to me." James started his presentation confidently, but it was just a verbatim recitation of the materials with no further in-depth explanation. Regarding vibration control, the quake resistance and base isolation structure is crucial in mitigating the damaging effects of seismic waves and improving the building's seismic performance. Why did you opt for an integrated system rather than a combination of laminated rubber bearings and dampers? Oh, and what was the rationale for choosing braces over studs for the seismic vibration control? Well, James was sweating profusely, darting his eyes around nervously. It was clear he had no answers. "Mr. Smith," I spoke up, "those details fall under structural design, so they weren't fully communicated to the sales department." I began by explaining the earthquake-resistant, seismic isolation, and vibration control systems for this project. The CO asked additional questions, which I answered clearly. "I see. As expected of an architect, I understand well." "Architect?" James exclaimed in shock at Mr. Smith's words. "Yes, that's right. During his time at the previous construction firm, I had David design my house." Mr. Smith revealed his relationship with me. In fact, Mr. Smith was a junior high school classmate of mine, and he had a strong attachment to our hometown. He chose a local construction firm far from where he lived to build his house because of his dedication to the area. And I became a big fan of his honest work back then. I'm flattered. Building a house or an office is a significant investment, so you want to pursue all your doubts until you're satisfied. David always answered my questions clearly, making me feel secure in entrusting him with the job. When building his house, Mr. Smith had asked many questions, which was challenging but also a learning experience for me. I expected the same for this project. "You've studied very well, Mr. Smith. Thank you for the compliment." "It's an honor to hear that from you, David. It's the truth. Thank you. I've always been impressed with your knowledge, David. That's why I want you to handle this project as well." The Smith glanced at James. "I don't think this man has the knowledge to handle it properly." James, who had been stunned to learn I was an architect, finally spoke up. "But David has only worked on individual residences. He can't handle a project of this scale." "Is that so? David, you are a licensed architect, correct?" "You remembered. A licensed architect. Him. Yes, I was surprised too when we met. He graduated from a technical high school in 3 years, then worked for 4 years to obtain his qualification, correct?" "Yes." "It wasn't straightforward though. Even then, he was only 30 years old, which is quite impressive. Much better than a half-baked university graduate. I remember the CEO of the construction firm proudly boasting about him. My former colleagues really took care of me. When I finally became a licensed architect, they encouraged me to move to a larger company to fully utilize my skills. The CEO of that firm is a man of great integrity. He's well respected in our hometown. Thanks to him, I got to meet you, David. I'm truly grateful." So, when the CEO informed me that David had joined another company, I thought it would be great to have you involved in our office building project. "Thank you. Although I don't have experience with large-scale projects like building construction, I believe I can do it with the support of other project members. Will you all help me?" "Of course. We'll do whatever we can." While my colleagues responded immediately, James' face turned various shades of red and blue as he looked at me. "Why would a licensed architect be assigned to the sales department? Didn't you say it yourself, James? I don't have experience with large-scale design work. So, I was hired under the condition that I could learn about the large-scale construction process while working in the sales department, knowing what you can't do and taking the necessary steps to learn how to do it." "David, you remain as sincere as ever." Mr. Smith smiled at me and then turned to James. "Your name is James, correct?" "Yes. In a presentation, you belittle your subordinates in front of the client, boast about your background, and your work is incomplete. I don't think we can do good work with someone as selfish and unaware as you. You're off this project." "But," James crumpled, casting a resentful glance at me. "David, you deceived me. If I had known you were a licensed architect, I would have. I never hid it." Both of these gentlemen knew. "Yes. I saw it on the company's employee introduction page. David himself told me. So you kept it from me. I didn't think it was something I needed to announce. But I didn't hide it when I joined the company, and I followed the proper procedures." I sighed at the frustrated James. "I admit I didn't mention it because you never asked. But that also means you didn't take the time to learn about your new subordinates. You didn't even know your own subordinates before assigning them tasks. That's unacceptable for a manager." Mr. Smith, looking exasperated, waved his hand dismissively. "We don't need someone like you. Leave." At his words, James hung his head and left the office. This presentation had some flaws, but it was quite well done. Actually, I created those materials. I had planned to attend the presentation and explain the details verbally, so some specifics were left out. "May I present it again?" "Of course. If you explain it, we can get a more accurate understanding." I also brought some rough sketches of the design. I think showing these will give a clearer picture. Let's see. When I spread out the sketches I had brought, Mr. Smith leaned in to take a closer look. The presentation was a great success. The rough sketches were highly praised by Mr. Smith, and the project was entrusted to our company. Afterward, the design department reviewed the sketches and requested that I should be transferred to their team immediately. As a result, I was officially assigned to the design department and became involved in the project. Regarding James, Mr. Smith filed a formal complaint about him, leading to his removal from the project. Additionally, it was revealed that he frequently took credit for his subordinates' work, just as he had done with me. This infuriated the executives, and he was swiftly reassigned to a remote location without any room for negotiation. After that, things proceeded peacefully and lively each day. 2 years later, my first design building was finally completed and ready for its inauguration ceremony. David, congratulations. It's finally done. Yeah, thank you. Great job, everyone. The building, which I had designed from scratch in collaboration with the project team. The brand new white building gleamed under the clear, sunny sky. We made a $16 million profit and even won the CO's award. David, you're amazing. It's all thanks to the team. The first large-scale project was a great success. And now, a new project was about to begin. Working at a major construction company allows me to handle various projects. Here, I can make my dream come true. My dream is to design a large bridge someday. Bridges like Golden Gate Bridge, Brooklyn Bridge, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, and the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. After learning about these bridges, I decided to pursue a career as an architect. I want to build safe and sturdy bridges that bring smiles and happiness to many people. So I will continue to work hard. First, to bring smiles to the clients in front of me, and one day to see people crossing a bridge I designed with smiles on their faces.